Good morning, everyone. This is Andy Hall. You're watching the morning show. We're going to solve all the world problems, all of the world's problems this morning. But first, let's have a laugh. Check out this clip.
Thank you all so much again for your time. Yes, Fox News. Petey, you're sharing that Trumka quote out of context. Is this a question or are we trying to play gotcha? Playtime is for recess. What's this really about? Well, I'm sure your peers would be more likely to play with you if you shared the red ball during Butts Up. You don't have to raise both hands, Petey. We're still talking. Petey, I don't want to put you in a timeout. Before we go, this isn't just for Petey, this is for everybody, but especially Petey. I do recommend a little bit of light reading. It's homework. This is a wonderful book about listening.
All right. I hope everyone's doing well today. I hope that little clip got us going, got the juices going. I have my second cup of coffee right now. I'm hoping it's going to hit the main line of my central nervous system relatively quickly. If you're a first-time viewer, glad to see you here. If you're a long-time viewer, glad to see you here. We're going to talk about a bunch of things. Let me check the list. Let me check the playlist. What are we talking about today? Ted Cruz, the Florida hacker who got into a water treatment system, Catholic schools, and Trump, the impeachment, which is a thing. And we're going to talk about it. Facts matter. We're going to go to the morning. Good morning, Jess. Good morning, Jess. Simply Secular. You should get some kind of badge, Simply Secular, just by being on the West Coast and tuning in at 6 o'clock in the morning. There should be like some kind of medal, some kind of award for people on the West Coast. All right. So this was a question. You know, my girlfriend and I, just as James Henry's probably going to getting a production credit for the Jenga show that I do at 3 p.m. for his ideas about mirrors. I think my girlfriend's going to get a production credit too for the morning show, because she was talking about, you know, Andy, why don't you cover more international news? You get a lot of smart people, not me, smart person, not me, smart people, but a lot of smart people in the chat from other countries. And why don't you just cover more international news? Why don't you just cover at least a international news story? And I guess that's the question that I'm throwing. Should I cover more international news? I know that many of you are not here from the States, and maybe, possibly, I should talk about news that just isn't centered in the United States of America. Because I've heard on very good opinion that there is actually things going on in non-America that's really important. So that's what I'm thinking. Should I cover more international news? Should I throw in at least one international news story during the show? The girl, James Henry, the girlfriend is correct. Indeed. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe starting tomorrow, because I'm looking at my news stories today, and all these are state centered, are United States centered, and so I'll take a look at the international news, because as you notice, all of the links to the news stories we cover is in the description, and a lot of them are international news sources, BBC News, Guardian News, because I feel like they're a little bit more trustworthy than American sources. But I'll throw in an international. Do you think that the international news sources are a little bit more reliable than American news sources? Right. So I'll start throwing in more international news stories. And good morning, David Paul. Good morning. I hope everyone is having their coffee, their tea, whatever way they use to enervate, I believe that's the proper word, enervate their central nervous system to get them awake and moving. I hope everything's going well. So like I said, we're going to be covering a bunch of different stories this morning. Of course, the impeachment, but this weird story about a Florida hacker that actually started pumping bad things into a local water supply. Did it twice. Once unsuccessfully, and well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get to the memes. Nice, James Henry. All right. Let's go with the morning. One of the 3 morning memes. I'm a person who wants to do a lot of things trapped in a body of a person who wants to sleep a lot. That was me for many years. I just wanted to sleep a lot. And did I really want to do a lot of things? Maybe not. But I think it covers a lot of people. They feel like they want to do many things, maybe even productive things, but the sleeping gets in the way. All right, let's get to the next joke. This is one of mine. This is one of my jokes I wrote a while back. I don't know if I've shared it before, but I think it's still relevant. As long as these characters still exist in the GOP on a national level, the joke is still going to hold. The more you learn about Marjorie Greene, the more you think to yourself, she's concentrated evil. 1 Marjorie Greene may equal 5 Lindsey Grahams. Are Lindsey Grahams the universal assessment, the universal measure of evil? I don't know. But I think that was the hinge there, is that Marjorie Taylor Greene might equal 5 Lindsey Grahams. Maybe, possibly. Morning, Brain Bug. Good to see you, sir. And the last meme. Maps go over mouth and nose. I'm going to say this in iambic pentameter. Masks go over mouth and nose. It's been a year I could potty train. I'm not even going to try to do that. It's been a year I could potty train a dog faster than this. I forgot it. Go get it. You won't hear me. Be louder. I can't breathe. Grow up. Just wear a mask. Just wear a mask. Put it over your nose. Of course, now you're supposed to wear 2 masks, aren't you? In case you haven't heard, we covered this a bunch of times over the last couple of weeks. You're supposed to be wearing 2 masks. Really good mask and maybe a cloth mask over that. But because of the new variants, you should be wearing 2 masks. And of course, yes, I could potty train my dog. And I have actually worked with, I've had a dog before, about training a dog, how to sit, how to shake hands. And somehow that's easier than getting some people to put a mask on. Somehow. Well, yes. Hey, Sammy Jenkins, how you doing? Glad to see you here this morning. Yes, Marjorie. I would say even James Henry that I would say that Marjorie Taylor Greene is anti-useful, maybe even harmful. All right, so let's go to the first story. The first story is Ted Cruz. Is this the first story about Ted Cruz? Just when you think, the is the Republican Party like the Legion of Doom? Is it just full of these villains? And as soon as you start focusing on, let's say, Lex Luthor, you forget all about General Grodd. Is that? I think that's how it is, or Bizarro. So we're all focused on Trump, who might be the Lex Luthor, a very incompetent Lex Luthor. But then you say to yourself, Ted Cruz pops up in the news. It's like, I forgot all about him and what a trash person he is. But he's in the news. He did offer some laughs, some schadenfreude for the rest of us. Let's take a look. Oh no, this is not the right story. This is the right story. Ted Cruz gets slammed on Twitter in record time after sniveling anti-Biden tweet. Let me give you a little background about this tweet. Ted Cruz tweeted that Joe Biden is weak on China. Yes, that's right. But Joe Biden has been in office for a little bit over a month. Joe Biden has 2 aircraft carriers right now in the South China Sea. I just want to say that too. It is a show of force to the People's Republic of China. You may not know this. There are 2 aircraft carriers. I saw it in the news this morning in the South China Sea. I don't even think Biden has talked with the Grand Vizier, the dictator, the Xing of China. So he's not soft on China, but this is just another socially awkward way of Ted Cruz trying to get support amongst the base. So let's see how some people responded to Ted Cruz on Twitter. So you can see the original thing that Ted Cruz tweeted there at the top. Team Biden is soft on China. And this lovely person, how about this? Ted Cruz is soft on cop killing. Happy Ted Cruz Day, January 6th. Well done, Jim Bell 12. Well done. Ted Cruz Day, January 6th, which is, of course, the day of the Capitol riots. Which Ted Cruz is like, yeah, support the fascists. You're right about that. I'm sorry, I just snorted from what Brainbug said, but I'm going to get to Brainbug in a second. Trump is urine for America that never was. This is totally true. Trump is totally Solomon Grundy. Dead on Monday, up on, I forget the whole rhyme about Solomon Grundy, but old school DC villain right there. All right, let's go to there's more. There's other people slamming Ted Cruz on Twitter because of his idiotic tweet about the Team Biden being soft on China. Here's the next one. Team Biden soft on China. Team Cruz is pretty soft on the guy who insulted Ted Cruz and his wife. Oh, that guy who's getting impeached for the second time. There's Ted Cruz just licking the shoes of Donald J. Trump right there. And that does see, of course, there's like a ton of other tweets, a lot of funny bits about people just slamming Ted Cruz for his horrible way of just trying to get attention. It's like that kid, that narcissistic kid in class back in high school, that when he sees other people getting attention, he just has to do something to show them, hey, I'm just as irritating as that other person. I'm just as irritating. So I'm going to do something. And that's Ted Cruz. That's all he wants. Other people are in the limelight. Marjorie Taylor Greene's in the limelight, President Trump. But Ted Cruz wants to let you know that, hey, I'm just as evil and as disgusting trash person as they are. Crazy Canuck Cruz. This is true. A lot of people don't know. People forget about that. A lot of people forget about that. All right. Let's go to the next story. What do we got for the next story? Oh, this is the hacker story. I found this interesting. Once again, all the links are in the news. I mean, all the links that we're talking about are down in the description. Hacker tries to poison water supply of Florida city. A lot of doomsday scenarios, you'll see these stories about hackers disrupting electrical supplies, the grid. But it turns out that these stories are, it's a real possibility. It's a real possibility. And this is an incident that occurred. Let's take a look. And this is like from the other day. This is like 13 hours ago. Okay, maybe it's 14 hours ago. A computer hacker gained access to the water system of a city in Florida and tried to pump in a, quote, dangerous, unquote, amount of a chemical, officials say. The hacker briefly increased the amount of sodium hydroxide, lye, in Oldsmar's water treatment system, but a worker spotted it and reversed the action. Lye is used in small amounts to control acidity, but a large amount could have caused major problems in the water. Oldsmar Mayor Eric Seidel said, "There's a bad actor out there. No arrests have been made, and it's not known if the hack was done from inside or outside." So who knows if it's a white supremacist terrorist or an Islamic terrorist or a Russian terrorist. Oh, wait a minute. Russian and white supremacist here in the States, that could be. That's probably working for the same team. But wait, there's more to this story. There's more. A computer controlling Oldsmar's water treatment system was remotely accessed on Friday. A plant operator saw an attempt to access the system in the morning, but assumed it was his supervisor, the Tampa Bay Times reported. But another attempt was made early in the afternoon, and this time the hacker accessed the treatment software and increased the sodium hydroxide content from 100 parts per million to 11,100 parts per million. the operator immediately reduced the level to normal. So 100 parts in a million to 11,100 parts per million. That seems like a pretty substantial increase to me. I'm not a chemist, not a scientist, but from 100 parts per million to 11,100 parts per million, that seems significant. Sodium hydroxide is the chief ingredient in liquid drain cleaners. That's right. It is very corrosive and can cause irritation to the skin and eyes, along with temporary loss of hair. Swallowing it can cause damage to the mouth. Yeah, I would guess so. Throat and stomach, and induce vomiting, nausea, and diarrhea. Pinellas County Sheriff Bob, I'm going to butcher this guy's name, Gualatieri, said, "I'm not a chemist, but I can tell you what I know. If you put that amount of that substance into the drinking water, it's not a good thing." But he added, at no time was there a significant adverse effect on the water being treated. Importantly, the public was never in danger. Was it? I don't know. Oh, that'll clean your dishes. Well said, Dr. Mordecai. Well said. Yeah. It's news. Water treatment facility in the city in Florida. Lye. And it wasn't lye the thing that Tyler Durden put on people's hands that made it burn. This is, if you remember Fight Club, or if you saw Fight Club, there was that Bernie thing that Tyler Durden put on people's hands. And that was being pumped into this city's water system plant. And so, yeah. And though it may clean your clothes, it may clean out your internal organs also. And what's odd about this? It's just one person. This is how important our city workers are. It was just one person who basically noticed it and acted on it quickly, that there wasn't even more lye put into the water drinking system. Tobin, good to see you. Those are the kind of stories that influence me to go off the grid. The things that keep me from going off the grid are my total lack of skills of off-grid living, the lack of mechanical skills, the lack of agricultural skills. I know people. I have a buddy from college who actually does a prepper channel on YouTube. It's a small channel, and I'll look at the prepper station every once in a while. And I could have him on the channel too, actually, to talk about his prepper skills. We're different camps, politically speaking, but he does have interesting information to share. Coffee cheers. Yeah. But ultimately, the best way to protect our society is to actually fund our society adequately and to put in measures to make sure that we're all safe. Self-knowledge is a virtue, Andy. It is. It is. Thank you, James Henry. As I've gotten older, I've gotten much more comfortable with my own incompetency. I know I've said that before, but it's like, in terms of in terms of prepping or going off the grid, don't have a lot of skills for that. So we're about 2 stories into our 4 stories. We're going to talk about Catholic churches hemorrhaging people. In other words, they are dropping in the amount of students that they have, and some schools are closing, believe it or not. That's not bad news at all. James Henry, you especially here in the States, if you want to do anything to make sure that you do not lose your money here in the United States of America, is stay focused on your health. Once again, I'm going to drum that beat. I'm going to beat that drum. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to beat that drum and say the number one reason why Americans declare bankruptcy is because of medical bills. The best thing you can do is just try to stay healthy. Preppers are entertaining. Yeah, my buddy, really smart guy. And he has just dedicated himself to, growing radishes and garlic and talking about bug out bags on his channel. A very entertaining person. All right, so we're about we're closing in on halfway. I'm gonna do a little halftime show. This is the little halftime show. This is where we take a break from talking about the news, and we're going to talk about, well, we're not going to talk about, we're going to consume some comedy. We're going to have some funny stuff.
Hi, my name is Tobin Mitnick, and I'm a Jew who loves trees, and the relationship between this weirdo tree and its perfect older sibling is exactly like mine and my perfect older brother, Ethan. The charisma of the Douglas fir proper of the Pacific Northwest attracts visitors worldwide. Kind of like how everyone spontaneously decided to throw Ethan a party after he won Homecoming King. I threw a party once. I got dumped at it. The Douglas fir's little brother, the weirdo big cone Douglas fir, is only known for its weirdly big cones. Kind of like how in 7th grade geography, Mary Wise told me that I'd never be as handsome as my older brother Ethan, but at least my eyebrows were interesting. The magnificent Douglas fir of the Pacific Northwest reaches heights of more than 300 feet, while the underwhelming big cone Douglas fir is often stunted to around 70 feet. Kinda how Ethan's multiple graduate degrees and successful small business are often cited as examples of how I don't have any of those. But at least we're together on this trail that nobody walks on.
I'm sorry. I found that incredibly funny. It in self-depreciating kind of way. I think you got to be strong internally to make fun of yourself. It's one thing to make fun of other people, but you got to be somewhat self-aware and strong to make fun of yourself. Let's see. Simply Secular says, my old boss and 5 of his friends owned an island off the coast of British Columbia, and that is completely off the grid except for food and garbage. Mostly because it's a 10-minute boat ride to the nearest shore. Oh, well, hey, there you go. I wouldn't mind owning an island, except for the fact that I would think that the global climate crisis would just bury it underwater. Much like the Maldives, right? The Maldives, the little island chain there in the Indian Ocean. It's getting progressively underwater. That's what I would be concerned about. I'd have to have a really large island with a high mountain there, a high elevation for me to get on the mountain. Yeah, never take yourself too seriously. True that. Catholic schools. This made me feel good. And this may make many of you in the secular audience feel pretty good about the Catholic schools hemorrhaging students. Once again, links are in the description. Let's take a look. Catholic schools in U.S. hit by unprecedented enrollment drop. Single tier, unprecedented drop in enrollment. How sad is that? Not very sad. Now, one of you are going to mention, because you probably have already thought of this, that I wonder if the drop in Catholic school the drop in enrollment means that there's going to be less scandals, those kind of scandals in the Catholic Church. I'd say that there's a correlation to that. Chat, whoever thought of that way before me, is that as the Catholic schools drop in enrollment, there'll probably just be less of the scandals. Let's take a look at the story. New York AP enrollment in Roman Catholic schools in the U.S. dropped 6.4% from the previous academic year amid the pandemic and economic stresses, the largest single year decline in the last 5 decades, Catholic Education's official reported Monday. Among the factors were the closure or consolidation of more than 200 schools and the difficulty for many parents of paying tuition fees that average more than $5,000 for grades K through 8 and more than $10,000 for secondary schools, according to the National Catholic Education Association. John Rees, the NCEA's executive director for Operational Vitality, that sounds kind of pervy, said the pandemic has been an accelerant for longstanding challenges facing Catholic education. So once again, enrollments dropped 6.4% for Catholic schools during the pandemic. Is there other good news? Maybe there is. Between 2019 and 2020 school year and the current year, nationwide enrollment dropped by 110,000 to about 1.6 million students. Back in the 1960s, enrollment was more than 5 million. So in the 1960s, there were 5 million kids in Catholic schools. Now there's only 1.6 million. That's good news too. Is there more good news? I think there may be. With the recent wave of closures, there are now 5,981 Catholic schools in the United States. I'd say that's 5,981 more than necessary, compared with more than 11,000 in 1970. Oh, Rees said they disproportionately impacted urban communities where significant numbers of Black children, including many non-Catholic families, attended Catholic schools. Indeed, some of the largest enrollment losses were in big city dioceses, including 12.3 in Los Angeles and 11.1 in New York and 8.2 in Chicago. The only big city dioceses that saw significant increases were in Western cities with large Hispanic populations, up 5.5 in Las Vegas, 4.6% in Denver, and 2.4 in Phoenix. Yes, the issue really with American education, and for those of you who aren't living in the States, or for those of you who are living in the United States and don't have kids and may not be aware of how crazy school funding is, it's insane. Local communities pay for teachers, they pay for schools, they pay for education. So if you live in a wretchedly poor community, your school's going to reflect that. I grew up in a wretchedly poor city. In Massachusetts, the city that I grew up in, Brockton, was amongst the lowest 3 year after year after year in terms of quality of schools. I think we trade positions with Fall River and New Bedford, while people in more affluent communities like Newton, Andover, Wellesley, because they're wealthy people there, they have great public schools. This is the sin of the system right here. The idea that we do not put all the money into a big bowl and disseminate it from there. The idea that localities fund their schools, it's absurd and it's criminal. I think it's immoral. Okay. I'm going to try to control myself. I'm going to get to the next part of this story. Rees said the one reason for the relatively modest reduction in staff size was the use of funds from the federal Paycheck Protection Program in the spring of 2020. That's right. If all of your taxpayer money didn't go to the Catholic schools, they would have had to have laid off more people. Without additional outside support going forward, he added, there is a potential for severe staffing reductions as well as continued enrollment declines. I can't say that a bounce back is guaranteed. Woo! When the pandemic ends, Rees said. Often last year, when plans for closures were announced, parents and alumni launched campaigns, mostly unsuccessful, seeking to keep those schools open. Even in some cases where dioceses had financial resources available, school officials responded that long-term enrollment trends and sometimes the need for costly renovations made it unfeasible. Good news, Catholic schools are hemorrhaging half the amount. I think it's about half the amount of schools now exist in the country than in 1970. That's good. What's not so good is that the reason why there haven't been more people fired from these Catholic institutions is because of taxpayer support. All right, let's see what's going on in the chat. Oh, we've already helped out the Catholic schools with our tax money, Dr. Mordecai, indeed. Oh, blazing wizard pope. In Denmark, there are no more than 800 kids in Catholic school in the entire country. That's right. Because when you have a functioning society, you don't need Catholic schools. When you have a healthy society, religiosity goes down, right? faith, religion thrives in failed states. When you have a system like here in the United States of America of funding public schools, religious schools will thrive more or less over time. And that just tells you how bad how unpopular Catholicism is starting to get due to the scandals, right? Is that they are just decreasing over time, and that's good news. Oh, David Paul talking about, oh, well, I want to go back to Blazing Pope here. In Denmark, we only have 3 Catholic schools. You know, Blazing Pope, I saw a video the other day that Denmark is one of the top 10 places to immigrate to if you're an American. Phi, yep. I learned a lot in Catholic school. By the time I switched to public high school, I was advanced in everything, every class. You know, that is, you know, and that is a shame too. The idea that, and I would agree, there was a Catholic school in the city that I grew up in, and I probably would have gotten a better education at the Catholic school than I would have gotten at the crappy public high school. However, that's not an argument, and I know you're not making this argument, but that's not an argument for more Catholic schools or charter schools. The idea is that the bone of contention, the cardinal sin of the education system in America is local funding for schools. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Oh, see, no, I don't know. Laughing disbelievers, disbelaughers. Does that mean that I'm not laughing? Disbelaughers? I don't know. I think that might just mean, I don't know. I'm confused about it. Hey, the girlfriend. Yes, that's why I thought I'm not smart. I'm just ahead of everyone else. All right, so what have we covered so far? Oh, hey, here we go, Blazing. We have a winner. Your prize is open invitation to a wonderful, oh, I love waffles too, in my social paradise. Yeah, your socialist paradise in Denmark. That's right. You know, if you're first tuning in to this channel, if you're first watching the show, yes, you're going to hear things about how wonderful life is in Denmark and other places where you can, socialist paradises on Earth. Oh, Brainbug, you raise an interesting, and this is really the problem. The issue isn't as much here in the United States that people want local autonomy over their schools. Most people don't care. Most parents don't care. It's the question about white people sending cash to schools for brown people, and I think that's a large bone of contention. We had Dr. Kotsko on, Professor Kotsko, talking about neoliberalism a few weeks ago on the night show, the late night show on Sunday nights at 10:30 on this channel, Adam Kotsko. And a lot of our class problems are caused by race issues here in the United States of America, which, again, it should not surprise anybody. Yeah, exactly, Blazing. Good riddance to bad rubbish. I'm with you on that. Theo, glad to see you here. Glad to see you here. What have we done so far? We talked about Ted Cruz seeking attention on Twitter and getting slammed. Hilarious. We talked about the hacker who hacked into the Florida city water system and caused some deviltry. And of course, we just talked about Catholic schools hemorrhaging students. And of course, the horrible, horrible state of how American schools, public schools, get funded. Yeah, indeed. It is a vestige of redlining. Thank you, Brainbug. For those of you who don't know what redlining is, redlining was a practice that basically kept cities, towns segregated on racial lines, right? It was officially outlawed, but the idea of local communities paying for their schools It is a vestige of redlining, and thank you for mentioning that, Brainbug. All right. So what are we going to be talking about next? Oh, did you hear? You might not have heard this, but recently the United States of America had a one-term president who got impeached once, and then he just wanted to be the bigliest of the impeached presidents. He decided to rack up two impeachments within one term of office. And before I talk about the news story proper, about Trump getting impeached for the second time, which is happening this week, there's going to be some talk. There's going to be some talk about the fact that by Republicans, it's not constitutional that Trump gets impeached. There's an excellent piece in, believe it or not, the New York Daily News by Professor Alan Lichtman, who I follow on Twitter. He's an incredibly intelligent person. He created a system of predicting who will win the presidency. He also has written a bunch of books. He's been on the channel twice, and he wrote an excellent article. Like I said, you can look it up. The name of the article, it's an opinion piece. There's no constitutional question the Senate can try Trump. In 1876, and I didn't put this in because I just discovered this piece before coming on the show, but basically in 1876, the Senate confirmed the legality of trying former Secretary of War William W. Belknap, and they impeached him they tried him after he left office. So there is a precedent of the Senate trying someone after they've left office. All right, so let's talk about a quick secular chuckle. That's good. I hope that we have secular chuckles here. So let's get into the news story. Let's get into the Trump impeachment. Trump impeachment, Senate paves way for speedy trial of ex-president. Speedy trial. They're going to try to rip the Band-Aid off fast, I guess. The second impeachment trial of Donald Trump begins on Tuesday as Senate leaders agreed on a rapid timetable. The former president is charged with inciting insurrection in a speech to supporters ahead of the deadly riot at the U.S. Capitol on the 6th of January. Democrats say they have overwhelming evidence of his guilt, while his defense team claim rioters acted independently. The defense called the trial absurd and unconstitutional. Once again, it is constitutional. We have had people tried and people impeached after they left office. We just covered that. So that's a bogus argument right there out of the gate. And the legality of it will be the focus on Tuesday. Mr. Trump is the only U.S. president in history to have been impeached twice, and one of only 3 to have been impeached at all. Donald Trump wanted to make records. He wanted to break traditional norms. Traditional norms, that's redundant. Well, guess what? He did. How will the trial play out? Senate leaders agreed to a framework for the trial on Monday. All parties have agreed to a structure that will ensure a fair and honest Senate impeachment trial of the former president. U.S. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said, if Tuesday's constitutional vote passes, which it will, opening arguments will begin on Wednesday afternoon, and both sides are allowed up to 16 hours each for presentations. So there's going to be a basic vote today, and then we're going to get into the trial proper tomorrow, Wednesday. These arguments are expected to run through until the weekend, when senators get a chance to ask both sides questions. It is unclear if the impeachment managers will then extend the timetable by requesting witnesses to be called, though Mr. Trump has already declined to voluntarily testify. Should the Senate subpoena Donald J. Trump? That's a question. Talk about it. I'm going to finish up the story, and then I'll say my opinion. I'll just lay it out there. Lawmakers on both sides are said to favor a quick trial amid an ongoing effort to have President Joe Biden's coronavirus relief package approved. with a speedy timetable, it is thought a Senate vote on whether to convict Mr. Trump or not could come as early as next Monday. So more than likely he's not going to be convicted unless we can get 17 Republican senators, if Mitch McConnell can twist their arms to vote for impeachment. But in theory, the vote could come next week. So the question is, should the Senate subpoena ex-president, former president Donald J. Trump? If they're looking for a speedy trial, they don't want to do that. But however, they should try to just throw everything they can at this guy so that he salt the earth. It's like the Romans did to Carthage in the Third Punic War. Just salt the earth, destroy his reputation as much as humanly possible, put him up on, have him go under oath, and then have him perjure himself, because the man cannot help but to lie. And you catch him in a lie, then that's perjury. Oh, see, now, I think putting him up there and making him testify under oath, because that's what people are afraid of. That's why people are afraid of testifying in front of the Senate, is because they have to do it under oath. And that opens up perjury. That's how they got Bill Clinton, right? Saying, I never had intercourse with that woman. That was perjury. And thank you, Blazing Wizard Pope. Secular Chuckles is regularly on the menu at Cafe Laughing in Disbelief. Indeed. Mike Pence. The Nuremberg defense for Mike Pence. He was only following orders. When you talk about the QAnon shaman, I believe he wants to go on the witness stand. That's going to be his defense right there. He was only following orders. We saw him. We have him. It's clear. He committed incitement while president. If that isn't incitement, I don't know what is. Trump logic. I broke the law yesterday, but not today. Ergo, I am innocent. Of course, yesterday. I don't even know. You can see just how some Republicans and some Trump supporters it's like that happened all the way back in January. This is February, totally different world. While these same people are the ones still shouting about Benghazi and her emails and whether or not President Obama is an American or not. Blazing. I'm fine with putting Trump on a platform. Terms and conditions apply there. Well, they are doing a lot of security. From what I understand, in case things get hairy. So, yeah. And you're right. The video and the audio speaks for itself. Yeah, I would like to put Trump, make him bear witness to himself, and he's just cannot help himself. He might be able to hold it together for 5 minutes on the stand, maybe, possibly, but it's only a matter of time before he starts perjuring himself. And if he perjures him, it's just going to give companies a chance, because he's already being sued. His people are already being sued. Lou Dobbs on Fox News lost his job because Fox News is being sued by Smartmatic and Dominion. Oh, yeah, that's right. Giuliani literally said, let's have trial by combat to the mob. And it wasn't like Donald J. Trump came out and said, hey, maybe we should rescind that statement, Mr. Giuliani. So even though Trump didn't say trial by combat, he basically implied it was okay. We should do trial by combat by actively not saying, we shouldn't do this trial by combat. Any sane person, if I'm on a stage, if I'm running a show and someone says something crazy, it is my duty to say, hey, that was kind of crazy. Don't listen to this person. Oh, here it is. I would like to point out a Florida claim that he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and not lose a single vote. What if it was a Trump voter he shot? Yeah, that's true. Well, there are Trump supporters who did, people who rioted at the Capitol who did not vote for him. Maybe he wouldn't lose a voter if he shot somebody. Rudy will plead insanity. Yeah, well, that's true enough. Well, if he testifies, it'll be in an interview-style Q&A statement with a lawyer or two sitting next to him. They would be foolish to allow him to testify. He's pretty much incapable. Yeah, I'd say put pressure on Trump. I think he would snap. Even with a bunch of lawyers around him telling him, dude, you shouldn't be saying this, I think he would snap, crackle, and pop after 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. That's my personal thought on Trump going in front of the Senate and testifying. All right, let us take a look before we start wrapping everything up. What have we talked about in terms of stories? We talked about Ted Cruz being an idiot on Twitter. We talked about the hacker in Florida who got into the water supply system and put lie into the water supply, or more lie, which is I don't know. There's a pun there. I'm not going to go with that. The Catholic schools hemorrhaging students. The only reason why Catholic schools haven't been firing more people is because of your tax dollars going to support Catholic schools. And of course, the impeachment trial of Donald J. Trump coming up. Before we wrap everything up, let's go to one last comedy bit to put a smile on your face, to put a pep in your step. Let's do that.
We now return to Stabbed in the Butt, the only game show where if you get the answer wrong, you get stabbed in the butt.
All right, Bradley, here's your question. What is the atomic weight of nitrogen? Get him, guys! Stab him in the butt!
Idiotic, absurd. To tell you the truth, I haven't even checked this out. Is the atomic weight of nitrogen 16? I mean, it's been a long time. I'm going to look it up right now because I'm a big geek. I thought I never, atomic weight, atomic number is not the same thing as the weight, right? Atomic number is different. Atomic weight is 14.0067. I was close. So the atomic weight of nitrogen is 14.0067. My first guess was 16. So I guess I would have been stabbed. See, you learn stuff coming on this show. You learn stuff about atomic weights, about news stories. See, there you go, Blazing, right? There you go. Everybody, I am doing playing Jenga again at 3 p.m. today. Going to be playing it here. I won't be playing it in the studio. I'm not going to have this nice jacket. I've decided to wear, I don't know if anyone noticed, is that I have this nice jacket on, because I'm doing a news show, and apparently if you don't have a jacket on, people don't take you seriously. So I've decided to wear my hoodie and a jacket over the hoodie in true classy style. Butt stabbing, right, John Hudson? Good to see you here. Indeed. Oh, hey, Fi. This is fantastic. I have to get ready to help give 2,000 vaccines today. Good job. Thank you for doing that, Fi. Thanks for helping out and getting the vaccines dispersed. Indeed. Butt stabbing. Yeah. So yeah, 3 p.m. doing Jenga. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., doing this whole thing over again. Doing the whole thing over again. Going to be throwing in a bit about international news. Going to be doing some, of course, we're going to talk about the impeachment. Right, we're going to have to. And, let me say this, too, before I sign off. Rage, his channel is called The Rage, is doing a show from 10:30 to 11:30. He's doing a more of a traditional atheist show, right? More about issues about the Bible, about secularity, more about the traditional atheist counter-apologetics stuff there on his show at 10:30. I like Rage. He's a good guy. I'd like you to go over and check out what he has to say while I do more politics and try to be funny. Rage is far smarter than I am, and he runs a good show with his buddy John Peterson. Good people, solid people. You will learn stuff over there. Like I said, for those of you who are interested in more of a traditional, will he be raging, Dr. Mordecai? He is always raging, that guy. Always raging. So check him out. He's on at 10:30. That gives you a full 40 minutes to do whatever you need to do before you check over Rage's channel over there. And I heard rumors about Brainbug interacting with Darth Dawkins. I might check that out too on Brainbug's channel. I saw this. I finished up this video on Brainbug's channel, while watching the video on Moloch or Malak. It's about child sacrifice in ancient Israel. Definitely worth your time too to check out Brainbug's channel and that bit about Moloch, Malak. So thanks everyone. Should I say thanks? I should say thanks. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for those of you who share the show to share the show. Yeah, I appreciate it. I have fun. I hope you have fun too. And once again, 3 p.m. today, we'll have some more laughs. And as I build things and they fall apart. Take care. Be strong. I'll see you later. Bye.